I will start the show off by reviewing Buried. And here's it is directed by Rodrigo Cortes, who hasn't done a lot. He did one other foreign film, a Spanish movie, and a lot of short films. And this is his first directorial debut feature length. And it's basically a one-man show starring Ryan Reynolds as a contractor trucker who is working in Iraq circa 2006. So like right on the burgeoning war or dead center of sort of the conflict in Iraq. He plays a character named Paul Conroy, and he wakes to find himself buried in a coffin. And in this coffin, he finds a few items in which he can contact the outside world to try and get help. He has a BlackBerry or a phone, and he has a pencil, and he has glow sticks and a ransom letter that's been pre-written for him to read and make a video with.
In Arabic.
In Arabic, yeah. And basically the movie consists of him trying to contact both the people he loves and the embassies, the FBI, and things like this to be able to get himself out before he runs out of air or before his loved ones are hurt. And we talked about this a little bit ago, how we're seeing a lot of these claustrophobic horror movies. Buried and Red and Devil are kind of the standouts. Or not Red. Buried, Devil, and 127 Hours, which was nominated for Best Picture this year. And I kind of felt like this was basically 127 Hours minus the talent. And I said in our reviews for 127 Hours that 127 Hours was so well directed because it was the type of movie that, if not done right, can be really repetitive and boring. And that's exactly how I felt about Buried. We're basically just in this coffin the entire time. We never leave the coffin, which is kind of a brave filmmaking choice, but in the end, it's not the right one for this movie. And I felt like a lot of the political and sociological themes that the director or the writer was trying to pull out, because it's all about how, I guess, the middleman, the contractors in the middle of this war are kind of being the ones, the contractors and the journalists, and the people who aren't directly involved with the war are the ones that are getting it the worst. And I felt like a lot of that was just very heavy-handed, and the villain is really over the top, almost stereotypically over the top. Even though you never really get to see him, you hear his voice all over the cell phone. And I feel like, these are like the nicest terrorists ever. They're pretty much giving him anything and everything he needs to survive down there, including a lighter and glow sticks so he can see. And I was surprised there wasn't a mini fridge put in the back of the coffin. So pretty much the only thing I think that really stood out in this movie is Ryan Reynolds' acting. I think he kind of holds the whole thing together because he is very believable. He's very good at playing claustrophobic, and you do kind of get that intensity through him. But I think the story as a whole, basically, it should have been a short film, not an hour and a half, or whatever it was.
Yeah. Yeah, what do you give it?
I give it a C+.
C+?
No, C-. C-.
C-. Your own writing. All right, well, I liked it a little bit better than you. I gave it a B-. I watched it late at night in the dark, so I don't know, that helped a lot.
Yeah.
But I really like the frustrating element. Like, he's making all these phone calls, and his people are screwing him over so bad. This made this movie so depressing, which was an element I knew it had to be, but it'd be depressing because the guy's stuck in a coffin underground. But just the way he can contact all these people, and he's calling his wife but always getting the voicemail. He calls all these people, and they're just like, either they don't believe him or they're just being really difficult, and he's like screaming like, we just need to control the situation. And it's just like, I was grabbing my pillow, just going, why is this happening to you? I just could not believe someone like. And you mentioned how the terrorists are really, they're really nice bad guys, but they're still really violent and, making him do all this stuff and cut off his own finger and stuff like that. And I'm just like, yeah, that's pretty horrible. But then, the guys, like the truck driving guys that hire him or like his employers are like 10 times worse.
Yeah.
10 times worse than these terrorists.
They have him dictate that interview over the phone.
Yeah.
And I thought, at that point, that's when I completely checked out of the movie. I said, okay, this has gone into just ridiculous territory where they're really beating us over the head with oh, this is a war about consumerism, not about blah, blah, blah. And
yeah. No, I definitely got the political message in that, but it was, I just felt for Ryan Reynolds, for Paul in this. I was just like,
yeah.
I'm like, oh my God. So
he does a good job. He really acts the hell out of this movie, and he really has to because it's a one-man show, sort of like how Franco does in 127 Hour. I just think that he had a better directing support in that movie than Rodrigo Cortes.
So definitely a good one, but not.
And basically, we've already seen this movie in that 5-minute, 10-minute segment from Kill Bill Volume 1. And the whole time I was like, it's that. We know this already.
We know this. You punch through the ground and end up 10 feet up. Nice.